This episode is sponsored by Where to Shop and Dine. Download the app on Google Play Store or Apple App Store today. Connecting colleges and communities. You're watching SceneTV, and I'm Maya McNulty, your host. Schenectady Cable Entertainment News and Events. So excited to have in our studio today Electric City Couture, 6th anniversary, Corey Aldrich and Annie Delano. Nice to meet you guys. Nice. Welcome back to the studio, Corey.
Great to see you again.
All right, let's talk Electric City Couture.
Yes. What would you like to know?
Everything about it. Let's start with a little history of Electric City Couture.
Well, Electric City Couture actually started at Proctor's Theater as an art initiative for an art night event. And I happened to be there one night, that night actually of the show, or during the day rather, with a designer to help in the back room. And Richard Loveridge from Proctor's handed me the headset and said, "We need a stage manager. There's your crew." And so I ran with it and have been a part of it ever since. And actually by year 3, it had actually inherited the organization pretty much, because it became more of a serious fashion endeavor at that point. So, as you indicated, we're at our 6th year. It will be our 8th show, and it continues to grow not only in popularity, but in stature and in recognition, and the clothes get better and better every year as the designers ramp up.
Yeah, I've seen this. So, you are the makers movement in America. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, each year we try and create a theme that kind of resonates with where we feel we need to be. And this year, the Makers Movement in America theme felt really important to me, because we see, especially in the millennials and a lot of people in general, they're starting to be more concerned about where things are coming from, whether it's their food, their clothing, the products they consume, and really working with artisan-level designers from the region allows us to be able to introduce people directly to the maker. And it's a connection that used to be around in older times, but not so much anymore. But it's something that people are getting really interested in again. Where does my stuff come from?
Great. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your role as the executive producer of the Electric City Couture, Corey.
Well, basically, it's my job to set the vision. I've been the person with the organization the longest, actually, since my company produces it. But it's really about trying to figure out how to pull all these different elements together to create this big show. And I do that through very talented individuals such as Annie here.
Yeah, Annie, yes. Tell me, you're in charge of all the models and you're the cast director. So what's your role been like this year? Because you've really ramped it up.
I have, yeah, and this is my first year working with Electric City Couture, and I am very excited to be the casting director for this year's show. As the casting director, you're in charge of making sure that each team of designers has models that best fit their clothes, which is really important to the designer brand. So that's the role of casting director, searches for those people and brings them in and just follows the models through the whole process to make sure that everything is taken care of for the people who are the main portion of the show.
So when you were casting for auditions for the models, what were you looking for?
Well, each designer has their own look. When you think about a runway show, the models are really more of a vessel for the clothing items themselves. So we're looking for all different people, different body types, different personalities, whatever would fit each specific designer, which made it difficult because there are 5 designers who all are very different in the show. But it also added an element of challenge and fun to the whole process because, you're looking for unique individuals and what will really fit. It's like putting a puzzle together.
Yeah. Corey, tell us a little bit about the venue that the Electric City Couture will be taking place at this year.
Well, for the 2nd year in a row, we'll be at Universal Preservation Hall in downtown Saratoga. It's actually 1 block up from the Starbucks, if you're familiar with the downtown area. It's an amazing example of a high bay Victorian Gothic church. It's one of the best examples in the entire country, actually. And the not-for-profit Universal Preservation Hall has been endeavoring to do a historic renovation there. So we've been very excited to kind of connect with them and form a partnership to help raise funds for part of that restoration, in addition to them being able to give us a venue that allows us to kind of help these designers who are entrepreneurs to be able to build their businesses. So it's a really wonderful 360 kind of give back for everybody. The venue is absolutely stunning. It's stunning.
Yeah, I was there last year, and it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful venue for you to showcase the upstate fashion industry. Let me ask you, the designers, tell me a little bit about them.
Well, what I've started to discover over time, originally we had designed the show as we started to move it more into a business model, that it would be the traditional runway show. We get boutiques in the audience, and they would buy our designers, and they would start their businesses. And what we found is that the boutiques still had that kind of mentality that this is great, but we need to go down to the city to buy our clothes for the season. So a couple of my designers had a lot of experience with direct to customer. So now we have a bifurcated model, one that actually approaches the boutiques. There will be ones there. In fact, we have an amazing one as a sponsor this year, Lifestyles, right out of Saratoga. But in addition to that, we have a buy it off the runway segment. We build a pop-up shop right downstairs. People get excited, see it on the runway, then they can go down and have a direct connection with the designer and purchase the clothes right there. And that's been super successful.
Okay, so tell us the date of the fashion show, and then the date that you can buy.
The date of the fashion show is April 25th, and that will be at 8 o'clock. Unfortunately, it's already sold out. It's sold out.
Or fortunately,
Yeah,
that's
well,
awesome.
Unfortunately, for those who are watching now and just finding out, the good news is on Sunday, the following day, the 26th, we are opening the shop from 11 to 2, and the designers will be there. And that's going to be an opportunity for people who maybe couldn't get a ticket to the show but are really curious about some of our regional designers and craft and what they have there, to be able to come in and introduce themselves and hopefully participate in the fashion economy of upstate New York.
Great. Tell us a little bit about the designers that are going to be on the runway.
Well, we've got a couple that have been there before. Gamakachi Black, she's out of Queens. She does a beautiful evening wear kind of club couture type of design style. Vilma Mare is back again, and she took a hiatus last year. She was in Lithuania, and now she's back. Her clothes are very structured garments. She's an FIT grad, has a lot of quilting background. They're absolutely stunning. Ecologic, right out of Troy, New York, recycled cashmere, one of the first designers to work in the sustainable fashion industry in this country. And then we have two new designers I want to talk about quickly. One out of Saratoga called Fratelli and Lockwood. They actually loom their fabrics, then make their clothes. Kind of a very hip 1920s
very cool.
kind
It's
of
very
hipster
cool.
Williamsburg kind of vibe. We're pairing them up with a shoe restorer who does very hip things with shoes out of Schenectady, New York, called The Last Gentleman Co. And then our biggest thing that I'm super excited about is we're working with Match, which was formerly Marika Charles, right out of Schenectady, New York. They're an international fashion brand. They're about to roll out a line of home goods. I mean, this is next level stuff. The craftsmanship and work is beautiful, and they have actually been very excited to work with us, which is kind of mind blowing for me. I'm like, why do you want to work with? I mean, we're cool, but you guys
great.
are like big. Like,
You're catching up. So
thank you. No,
Yeah.
so we've got a real strong stable of designers. They're all professional career designers with ateliers that are doing their own production and retail. So that's really important that we kind of build that business side for them.
Are you doing anything with millinery that you did last year with the hats?
The millinery is not going to be in the show this year. Bahita, actually, who was that, she just has been doing some things down in Miami and just opened a shop, I believe, down in Manhattan. So she's been kind of focused on that, but I'm hoping to bring her back next year.
Yeah, she had beautiful hats.
She was
so.
amazing.
Annie, let me ask you, with working with the models, what kind of colors and fabric lines are trending?
The ones that are in our show?
Yes.
Well, Marika Charles has a great colorful line that they're bringing to our show, because their whole thing is dyeing the fabrics, and the design of and color dyes, basically. That's what theirs is, which is great for the models because it brings a fun springtime, flowy, colorful vibe. Whereas Velma's clothes are very mythological in a way because she works in boiled wools. So her clothes are more earth tones, and that kind of balances out. So, not every look on the runway is the same, which makes it great for the models because it's interesting for them to, work with their designer, but then I'm sure they're going to be interested to see what everyone else is wearing because it's all so
Talk
different.
so this is a real high caliber designer level.
Yes.
And tell us about the models too. Are you doing it in sections or are they all coming out together? How do you break each model or designer down for each set? How do you do that?
So each designer has their own section of the show, and every model walks once, which is why there are 55 models in the show, which is also unlike your typical runway show because
It's a lot of models.
It's a lot of models. each model has met with their designer and met with their specific salon, and their hair is structured to fit that designer's look. Everything is custom made for that one model. So that there are a ton of models, and each model will then walk once for their specific designer.
If I can just intercede quickly about like the trending styles and things. Like Marika Charles, the brand, the size that they're actually working 2 years down the road on things. So they have a lot of, because of the production requirements of selling to boutiques around the country. But some of our designers have very set styles that they just continue to go with, and they have a set clientele who just continues to like what they're doing. So like she mentioned, Vilma. Vilma does primarily fall and winter wear. So her stuff doesn't change colors as much as it changes maybe a new style gets introduced that is a part of that line. So it's much more artisan level design as far as what we're doing rather than super trendy. Although with Marika, I'd say I saw a lot of indigos and some really bright, intense, beautiful lime greens combined to create a really beautiful, popping look for spring.
All right. So again, location, date, time.
Universal Preservation Hall, which is at 25 Washington Street in Saratoga. The date is April 25th at 8 o'clock. But the shop hours, which is where most of you will be able to participate at this point, will be 11 to 3 at Universal Preservation Hall on Sunday. Sunday, yeah.
Great. And let's talk about the music and entertainment. What will people expect at this soiree?
It's like theater.
Yeah. Actually, we have a really very music
exciting.
director, Nate
the Great.
Yeah.
Yep.
He came up with this amazing theatrical introduction that I'm not going to spill the beans on, but it's really epic. And it basically, each designer has a curated music piece. We usually do one special musical event, and this year that's going to be something I'm very excited about. We're bringing back Petia Kazarova, who's a cellist from the Albany Symphony Orchestra, and we've paired her up with Chuck Lamb, who's the pianist for the Brubeck Brothers Quartet. And he's actually done a custom arrangement that we partnered up with the Albany Barn in Albany, the artist residency program there, to get some studio time, record, when Nate will chop that song up, and then perform it with Petia live at the show behind the Marika Charles piece.
Oh, that's exciting. How
it's
fun.
Crazy time.
Yeah, that's fun. A lot of fun. Let's talk about some of the sponsors, because I'm thinking that how you really have worked with the community quite a bit to put this all together, to pull it off. So who are some of your sponsors to help you out?
Well, because this is a fundraiser, we kind of set it up in a traditional gala format. So there's an honorary chair, and that's Julie Bonaccio, and her and Sonny with Bonaccio Construction. Many people know them. They're developing a lot of property in the area. They've been amazing. Then Keeler Mercedes is back on again this year. We have a boutique, Lifestyles Boutique in Saratoga. It's going to be there. And super excited to have Knob Creek as one of our sponsors this year, which means we're going to be sipping a little bit of Knob Creek at the show. So I'm very excited. And then another new sponsor, Saratoga Pool and Tub, which Wayne Akey, the owner of that particular business, has been instrumental in helping us to build this franchise, and we are most appreciative of their support.
Now, how do you go out and get these sponsors for this event? Are they just they just believe in your work so much, or have you really had to pound the pavement in the trenches to get them to come on board? Fashion's a tough thing,
It can be challenging, and it was very challenging for me when I was trying to do sponsorship and production of the show, and now the team over at UPH, because it's a joint benefit, they've really helped carry some of the water on that, and their development team is very strong. Teddy Foster over there, the president of the board, is really amazing, and between them and the steering committee we're working with, they have brought on these connections, and what's happening is these people are signing up year after year now without question, because they see the value of what we're doing, and they're excited to participate in this kind of entrepreneurial enterprise that involves all these art institutions to create this momentous event for our region.
Yeah, definitely. I think that fashion and art definitely play, off each other and stuff.
Totally.
Let me ask you, Annie.
Yeah.
What has been your most fulfilling role with the Electric City Couture? Because are you new to this?
Yes, this is my first year.
Okay.
Yeah. The whole experience has been really an interesting one. It's not my typical thing to cast, so it's been interesting to learn a different side of business. Usually I'm more in the corporate world, so this was definitely fun because it's creative and lots of new people. And I think the biggest thing I've enjoyed most about it is making connections and pulling together resources and just seeing how people can come together and support, an organization just by simply asking, having AMS models and talent be part of this year's event is really big.
Really huge for us, really huge.
And I had done a lot of work with them in the past, and so I was like, oh, do you guys think you want to be part of the event? And they're really excited to be on board, which really helped us. And it's also part of what we're giving back to the models because they're going to be able to do like runway training sessions. And so there's a new component this year, and I'm actually glad to make a mark and leave a legacy on the show.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming that number 7 is going to be very lucky for you, right? It's going to be a big show.
Yeah. So remember how quickly these sell out.
Yeah.
Location to be announced for the next season, but it's we're going to start planning it immediately after this show.
So, you've started doing a 2-day thing because now you can buy it off the runway. How did that come about?
Actually, it's become a 3-day thing because we have a sponsor. And
Not 1, not 2, but 3.
3, the holy trinity of fashion. So we Friday night we have a preview of the shop for sponsors and for VIP guests, people who are front, second row, and mezzanine level guests, which have contributed an extra amount to help us to be able to sustain what we're trying to do. Then we have Saturday, which is the runway show, and then the pop-up shop, which is available all 3 days, but to different constituencies, becomes a general public event on Sunday. So that it really became a function of just the demand to be able to increase the scope of this was there, and we needed to address that. And I eventually see this becoming a multi-day runway show event too. Actually, it's just a matter of could that be season 7 or season 8.
Great. Let me ask you, what has been your biggest challenge so far?
My biggest challenge is, for me personally, is trying to hold something as complex as this together and bring in all the different people and get them excited and keep them excited when there's a limited cash flow resources. I mean, if it wasn't for people like Annie and another core team member, I have Claire Harris, who manages the hair and makeup and salon coordination. Like, these ladies give blood, and without that, it just would not be possible for me to be able to do this. And the organizational support, the support of the designers, it's really being able to quarterback this whole thing and take the amount of time it takes for me to do it. It takes 6 to 8 months for me to do this show.
Yeah, how many people are on your team?
If you look at staff, my staff, hair and makeup staff, models, venue staff, volunteers, probably the night of show, we have about between 110 and 120 people on the show staff.
Right. So that's a real magnitude of a number.
That's right.
Wow.
It's pretty intense. The staff to attendee ratio is about 1 to 3. And that has a lot to do with the fact that the way we do this as a multi-designer show requires that one model, one look. So that means you need extra salon, support, you need extra dressing support, styling support, all these things that make this thing successful.
Fantastic. Congratulations. You've worked so hard. Really proud of you. Let's talk about your after party.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's kind of become somewhat notorious. This year it will be at Wheatfields in downtown Saratoga, right on Broadway. Really excited about that because it's got a beautiful glass storefront, so we can bring the party from UPH right down there, and people will see that Electric City Couture is still in the house. And that will probably start around 9:45. People who weren't able to go to the show can go to the after party as long as they dress to impress. There's like a $15 door charge, but then you get in and have an amazing time with all these fashion people, models, photographers, and just the whole glitterati set that you would expect to find at a fashion show after party.
Great. Date again?
The date is April 25th for the show itself, and then the shop where you can meet the designers and do some of your early spring shopping would be Sunday, the following day, the 26th.
So I know this is probably an unfair question, but I gotta ask it. Who's your favorite designer this year?
Oh my Lord. That is dangerous. I would say I like each of the designers for different reasons, and that's why they're in the show, because the designers are juried. That said, it's warm and fuzzy to be able to see ones come back again and again who've helped us build the success of the show, but it's also exciting to see the new ones come in and, to have, I'm a little high on the match this year because it's so important for us to be able to have that sense of legitimacy that people at their level would consider putting their reputation in our show. I mean, all of our designers have great reputations, but this is a national level designer right out of Schenectady, New York, and I feel like that's going to set the standard higher, and that benefits the collective of designers that we have so that everybody can move up to a new level, and that's really exciting.
Yeah. What have you seen in the past 7 years that the show, or 8 years that the show's been going, and 6 that you've taken it over? Where have you seen fashion, the growth here in the capital region?
Actually, I have noticed some things, and I like to think, and it's very cocky of me to say, that we might have had a little bit of influence on that, but I'm going to say it, darn it. And that is, I'm seeing a lot of regional photographers and fashion people start to ramp up their game in the way they're producing their shoots and the way that they're marketing themselves to the industry regionally. I remember, seeing a lot of shoots with 1 or 2 models, some really amazing photo shoots and things. But now we're seeing a lot of group-based shots and things like we've been starting to do for 3 years now. And it's like all of a sudden deluged everywhere. We have other people really ramping up their fashion events in the region. And I see some things that we've been doing that maybe might have influenced them. And I'm excited because it's taken a lot of smart people working really hard to come up with this. And hey, rising tide floats all boats. So we're excited to just see fashion grow. I want to go down the street and see people dressed in these amazing fashions and own them. Fashion is a great way to express yourself. It's very artistic, and it's also a very strong social statement.
Yeah. Annie, who's been your favorite designer?
Again, I feel the same way Corey does. It's a hard one. I mean, they're all great for different reasons. I mean, I like Fratelli and Lockwood and the partnership with the Last Gentleman Company a lot because it's a major men's line, and we don't have a lot of other designers that are catering towards men, and their clothes are really great, and the shoes are really cool, and the fact that they're made in Schenectady over on Union Street, I like that about them, and I'm like a shoe person, so I like those.
No way.
I like those shoes.
Well, who isn't, right?
Raise your hand.
I think that's really cool, but it would be unfair for me to say, that's my favorite one, because everybody is so unique in their own way. But I think that's different this year is the partnership with the shoes and the fabrics, so it'll be interesting.
Excuse me. Will you be wearing any of the designers the night of the show?
It's up for debate right now. I don't know. I have a loyalty towards Match because coming in, those were some people that I knew and I helped make them part of Electric City Couture. So I don't want to not wear their clothes. But at the same time, how could you say yes or no to anybody? Because all the clothes are great. So
yeah. And how about you, Corey?
I don't know.
Who will you be wearing?
I'm thinking of maybe doing changes. I don't know. It's really crazy. I actually was co-developing a men's vest style with Vilma Marais and Baltic style. So we just did a fitting for that last night. So I might wear that a bit. Ecologic. I'm really a big fan of Ecologic. I love the men's sweaters that Kathleen has designed, and I'm debating possibly wearing that. So it will be, and then Fratelli
layers
with the oh my god,
yeah.
Maybe we can
I just might have to be like a clothing rack. I'll just put them all on.
Buy it off
and
of
then
Corey.
when I'm talking, I'll just say okay. It's kind of ridiculous, actually. It's hard to pick. There's some awesome clothes.
It's all cool.
And there's more men's stuff this year, like Annie said, which is really great. This will be our first men's line we've ever produced on the runway. And it's beautiful vests and flat caps and just really awesome.
Yeah.
For Telly and Lockwood, yeah.
Right.
So how many, did you increase your male models this year or your female models? Tell me a little bit about that.
So there are 15 men in the show and 35 women. It's still really heavy for women, obviously, but, you know, the male line is coming along. And yeah, each designer has about 10 looks going down the runway, maybe 8, depending on what they had. So yeah, the models, everybody looks really good.
Yeah, great.
Regarding looking good, I just want to throw another thing in there because some of the unsung heroes of the show are the salons that help back what we're doing. And this year, Changes is going to be back with us, Shapes and Colors. And then for the men's line, we're doing something a little different. We've actually got Patsy's Barber Shop out of Albany. And they're going to be carving up the men, and it's going to be a really cool segment of the show. Usually the salons will meet with the models in advance, kind of get their look going, but these guys are meeting with them and cutting them and doing beard trimming, and we're really trying to bring that
so
cool
sexy.
hipster energy. Yeah.
It sounds really sexy.
Yeah. So just wanted to make sure to get that out there because it's a big part of fashion, and that is the hair and makeup. And these salons, you know, like Changes and Shapes and Colors have been with us for more than 1 year, 2 or 3 years now, and they just continue to stay excited, and it's really allows us to be able to do the level that we do.
Right.
So Saturday, April 25th at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
That's right. And then Sunday, for many of you, you can meet the designers and also experience buying directly from the designers at the pop-up shop at Universal Preservation Hall on 25 Washington Avenue on the 26th.
Right, the next day. What time is that going to be open?
From 11 till 2.
Okay, great. Tell us a little bit more about the Preservation Hall and the beauty of that too, what people can expect.
The space itself is really quite fabulous. It's I believe it was 1871. It was designed by an architect of note for this particular type of architecture. So a Victorian Gothic high bay church really has a beautiful, in the chapel area, this beautiful feature that's 40 feet high. It has curvature to it. It becomes the centerpiece of what we're doing. And this year we're kind of showcasing the space in a new way in that we're actually building a rigging system and we're building the concept of a glass house into the set design. So there'll be reclaimed windows suspended 25 feet above the stage area with lights coming through them. And the whole concept this year is that you get to see into the house where things are made, and then they come out on the runway, and it gives you a closer connection with these fashion goods. So the space works really well to work with vertical elevation. And there's just beautiful architectural support elements that are in the space that we like to highlight with professional lighting to really give people a sense of the grandeur of unrepeatable architecture. I mean, I feel it's really important to work with these beautiful buildings to preserve them because they will never be built again. A lot of the skills to create them are gone, and they're cornerstones of our downtown communities, and they're what give us character and inspire us.
Beautiful. You know, I'm really excited. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank
Annie,
you.
it was such a pleasure.
Yes, thank
Corey,
you.
always a pleasure to see you, my friend. And I'm so excited to be attending the 6th Annual Electric City Couture Fashion Show. Actually, it's coming up really quickly on the 25th of April and at 8 o'clock. So I'll see you guys there and looking forward to it.
So look forward to it. Thank you so
you.
much for having
Thank
us
you.
back again, too, Lynn.
Yeah, my pleasure. Super.